Hey there, we are back and it's episode 49 of English Tea. I would like to thank Dima for his insight and idea about making an episode about poetry. One day, when we figure out things with functional language, we will definitely get to something more aesthetic and beautiful. And today I wanted to follow up our points and continue the discussion about one critical aspect of the language, which I think is quite often underestimated. It's critical thinking. First of all, there is quite big misunderstanding in Russian and Ukrainian speaking world around what critical thinking is in general, but hopefully people who listen to this podcast know. Well, maybe you don't. But the main message is that critical doesn't mean criticize. Critical means to analyze, to see the reasons and being, let's say, evidence backed up. And there are three issues that we have while translating our language from Russian, Ukrainian into English. Quite often we drop some of the phrases because there is no clear tradition illustrating what is and what is not your opinion. People do it in conflict situations sometimes, or when they don't want to seem extremely arrogant or rude. In English, it's much more common to express which part of this is your opinion and which is a fact. And I believe that it could lead to three different difficulties or tensions if you don't. Tension one, you could just look mean, when you say this is a boring film. It sounds like a fact while this is just your opinion, and people probably might get insulted by you expressing it so directly. The second one is saying that it actually kills the discussion, because after announcing the fact like this is the best car, without expressing the fact that this is your opinion, without framing it as opinion, you kill the motivation of people to get further into the discussion. And the third one is that it's quite arrogant to just spread your opinions without backing them up with any data. So there are three ways I see people could fix this. And the first one is quite a little check to see if you can actually see the difference between facts and opinions. For that, I'm about to share with you 5 statements, and you will get a few seconds to name them as opinions or facts. So, fact, opinion. Number 1. Kyiv is overcrowded. This is opinion. Why? Because there is no data, no numbers. We don't know what is normal, what is overcrowded. Overcrowded is an adjective which is quite personal. Overcrowded for me, but for someone it might feel absolutely perfectly crowded. Let's try statement number 2. Sonar 1 releases at least 3 different shows. It's a fact, and if you haven't heard all of them, you could come to sonar.one and check them out. Next, statement 3. English Tea is an effective way to learn English. That might sound like a fact, but this is just an opinion, because the phrase effective way is quite a personal adjective which could be true for some of us and not very true for the others. If you say that English Tea helped me learn 5 new words in the last episode, it could be a bit more realistic. So you could back up your opinion with the fact, but this is still an opinion. Statement 4. Slava has learned 2 poems this month. Well, this is a fact, and I've even posted them at my YouTube channel to back it up and not to be, let's say, accused in false statements. But it has the number there, 2 poems this month, and it's quite easy to check. You could just ask me. Let's go to statement number 5. This episode is released on Friday. Well, this is hopefully a fact. You are the only ones who can actually check if it's true or not, because I'm recording this episode in the past, and you are probably on at least 1 week ahead of me. So you can come to this episode and see what date is in the publishing line, place, slot. I don't know when it was posted. So If you can see the difference between facts and opinions, this is the first step to making your speech more reasonable. But then you have to learn how to highlight the opinions and make sure that whenever you have to express or you would like to express your opinion, it sounds really reasonable. Actually, not reasonable, just it sounds good. I have my set of favorite phrases that are not just usual, I think, but they're just different. 3 of them is "to my mind," and "to my mind" is the phrase which illustrates that this is exclusively your opinion. So you would like to focus at the phrase "my" here. "To my mind, it's too hot these days." And it highlights that this is just your opinion and you're open to alternatives. Another one is saying the phrase "I feel." I feel this is a very good film. When you say "I feel," it's a strongly personal opinion, and people would probably not try changing it, but they could share theirs as well. And the last one is used more in controversial situations or when you have the opposite opinion. It's the phrase "as for me." When you say "as for me," you probably heard someone's opinion when people said, well, to my mind, tea is the best type of drink. And if you have the alternative option, you could say, "as for me, water tastes much better," which is actually true. And sometimes we would like to express our opinions a bit stronger than just "to my mind," "I feel," "as for me." And this is where you could use some adverbs like "I strongly believe we should commend and support these episodes as much as we can." "I truly feel that this show has the potential, and I really think that we should join as the community and try practicing our English together." So by using words like strongly, truly, and really, I make just regular opinions just, let's say, stronger and more expressed. So by adding such words like "to my mind," "I feel," "as for me," "strongly believe," "I really think," you make it clear this is your opinion, but does it make your speech reasonable? Normally, what you would have to do, you would have to back your opinion up with some evidence. And it sounds easy, but it's really great and tremendous job because, first of all, you have to keep all these facts, data, numbers, what, where, and when in your mind. Usually there's no time to Google or search for this information. It's very interesting how we have access to all this data, but we use it so rarely. And even if you know the facts, it's sometimes hard to link them in English to your opinion. So if you remember the first phrase about Kyiv being overcrowded, and then you would like to provide the number of population around Kyiv, which is roughly estimated from 3 to 12 million people, which is crazy, I think. There is no specific data around it. But even, let's focus at 5, which is one of the most popular estimates these days. Whenever you say that I really think that Kyiv is overcrowded, you would like to use the link to come to this data or to follow it up. And you could, of course, go for standard phrase like "for example," but I believe that we are quite advanced here and we would like to get some synonyms, such as. Such as is also one of the words which you could use instead of "for example" to get to the actual point, namely, in particular, to illustrate, to give an instance, like, as, and so on. All these phrases could help you jump from your opinion into the facts and link them together into stronger argument. So Kyiv is overcrowded, in particular 5 million people live in different areas and come together to Khreshchatyk, which makes it very tough for me to move around. Namely, a few days ago, I was walking around the street and I could barely get into the subway station. If you remember, another opinion which I had was about English tea is an effective way to learn English. And here we could give an instance, or to give an instance, you could learn some uncommon vocabulary that you probably know, but you haven't used previously. So, summarizing, whenever you speak about your opinions, you would like to highlight that this is your opinion, using phrases "to my mind," "I feel," "as for me," "strongly believe," "really think." And then back them up with facts, data, statistics, evidence, and numbers, using phrases like "as," "like," "such as," "namely," "in particular," "to illustrate," "to give an instance." And I suggest a little task right now. I will share with you a short story, and I'll ask you noting how many opinions and how many facts you hear in this speech. So the story begins. I'm about to go to Bratislava for a debate event which is scheduled in late August. It's going to be an academy for youth from 6 different countries where I'll have a chance to collaborate with international trainers. And I'm excited about this experience because every time I visited such events, I always brought some ideas that were very useful for me as a professional, and they were also quite motivating. That's why I'm looking forward to this trip. I hope more and more people in the future will have a chance to get into debating, because debating is not just an effective way to improve your critical thinking, since it's based on argumentation, it teaches people to distinguish facts and arguments and present them publicly, but also it's amazing networking opportunity, because where you would have a chance meeting so many bright, fun, and amazing people like at debate events. If you would like to check what debates are, I'll attach a link to one of the rounds where you could see that this is not just a formal public speaking competition, but it's also fun. So if you right now check your notes or just check your memory, what are the facts that you can remember from this story? Possibly the place where I'm going, maybe the dates, maybe some examples or stories or situations that are already in the past. Some of the facts you can't check, but you can take my word or, well, research. What about the opinions? Exciting, yeah, like all the extreme adjectives like thrilled, excited, happy, they are opinions. Then I was using the word effective, yeah, debate is an effective tool. I'm not sure which phrase was there specifically, but that's not the case. The case is that I tried to back it up with an example. I'm not sure how successful I was, since it was just an impromptu. If you remember more phrases, let's post a list of facts and a list of opinions either at YouTube channel or at sonar.one as an exercise. And I have task number 2, which is for more advanced listeners. Why don't you share your feedback about this specific episode using at least 3 opinion phrases and at least 3 facts to back them up? You could share this feedback personally to me using my Facebook account, or go publicly, which would be great help to other people who will be listening to this episode in the future. You could do that either at our YouTube channel below this episode or at sonar.one, find an English T, episode 49. I believe that when we start sharing all our tasks, that would be beneficial not just for you, because you will actually practice what you've just heard, but also for people who will come after you. There is very interesting nature of podcasts, and I really love this, that it's huge timeline, and you never know who your subscription, your comment or your text is going to be valuable for, because, well, people learn, yeah, and this information will stay on the internet. If you like what you hear at the show, please support us and like it on social media. Subscribe using your podcast app or YouTube channel. Leave the comments, because comments keep me energized and I feel that I'm not schizophrenic, but I actually talk to real people. So if you comment below the episodes, I'll be very happy to hear from you. And of course, share. If you think that this episode is in use to someone you know, send these people a link, and this would help both me and the person you shared it with. It was great pleasure hearing from you, and I hope seeing you in episode 50 of English Tea. Bye-bye.